In a quiet coastal village where waves whispered against the rocks, there lived an old fisherman named Ruin. His modest hut stood at the edge of a long, curved shore where the horizon met the sky like a painted dream. Every morning, before dawn had even touched the clouds, Ruin would wake, gather his worn nets, and set out in his small wooden boat. The sea was both his companion and his teacher, some days generous, some days silent. The villagers respected Ruin. They said he was a man who never quarreled, never rushed, and whose face carried the calm of still water. He lived simply, sharing what fish he caught and mending his nets at twilight while seagulls called overhead. But Ruin had not always been so peaceful. In his youth, he had been restless, ambitious to catch more fish, to earn more silver, to outdo every man who sailed beside him. He once owned a larger boat, painted bright and proud, with strong sails that caught every gust. He believed the sea could be conquered with effort and will. But one summer, when storms came unannounced from the deep horizon, his pride met its undoing. His boat was torn apart by a wave higher than a house. He survived, clinging for hours to a floating piece of wood until the calm returned. The experience humbled him. From that day on, he sold his ambitions along with his broken mast and chose a simpler vessel, a smaller life. People called him wise, but Ruin knew it was only that he had surrendered to the sea's rhythm, not struggled against it. Years passed. The world changed slowly around him. Young fishers came with engines, radios, and bright plastic buoys instead of wooden ones. They mocked Ruin's old ways, yet when storms rolled in, they sought his counsel. He would say, "Only the sea listens when you are quiet. Loud hearts cannot hear her moods." Some took that as poetry, others shrugged. One spring morning, a boy named Darrow came to Ruin's hut. He was 12, his father recently lost to an accident at sea. His eyes carried both fear and wonder. "Teach me how to fish," he said firmly. Ruin looked at him for a long moment and nodded. "Fishing isn't only about catching," he said, "but about watching, listening, and waiting." The boy agreed eagerly, though he didn't yet understand. Their mornings together began before sunrise. They would push the small boat into the water while the stars still glittered like scales on the surface. Darrow would chatter about fish sizes, nets, and how he would one day buy a big boat. Ruin would smile but remain silent, listening to the rhythm of waves against the hull. When the sun rose, flaming orange and soft, he would cast the first net, slow and graceful, as if greeting the sea. "You must never throw," he said gently. "You must offer." Days turned to weeks. Sometimes the nets returned full, glistening with silver fish that danced in the morning light. Sometimes they came back empty, heavy only with the scent of salt. Darrow often complained, "Why do we waste hours if the sea gives nothing?" Ruin would reply, "The sea gives always, sometimes fish, sometimes patience." The boy frowned, thinking patience a poor reward. As summer neared its peak, whispers of a great catch reached the village, a shoal of giant tuna moving close to shore, a prize for anyone bold enough. The younger fishers raced to prepare. Boats were painted, sails patched, ropes tied. Darrow's excitement grew. "We must go too," he said one night, unable to sleep. "If we catch even one, we'll have food for the month." Ruin looked at the stars scattered above. "We'll go," he said, but not to chase, to meet. At dawn they set out farther than usual. The sea shimmered calm, though clouds gathered far off like a sleeping threat. The other boats darted ahead, splashing, laughing, shouting across the waves. Darrow watched them disappear toward the horizon, his chest tight with envy. "They'll reach first," he said. Ruin replied quietly, "The sea doesn't rush for anyone." He began humming a soft, wordless tune, one learned long ago from his father. The rhythm matched the sway of the boat. Hours passed. The sun rose high, hot and merciless. The line between sky and water blurred into silver haze. Darrow wiped sweat from his forehead, restless. Suddenly, a distant rumble echoed. Thunder. The horizon darkened, and the distant clouds opened like the maw of a beast. The younger fishers' boats were still out there. The wind shifted violently. Waves began to toss. Darrow panicked. "We have to go back," he cried. But Ruin stayed calm, adjusting the sail slightly. "Hold steady," he said. "The sea is turning, we must turn with her." Rain began to fall, first in drops, then in sheets. The boat rocked. Lightning split the horizon. Darrow clung to the side, trembling. Ruin's eyes remained soft, alive but unafraid. He guided the boat between swells, murmuring quietly as though speaking to the sea herself. "Old friend, easy now." In time the storm passed, as all storms must. The waves softened, the sky broke into pale gold. Darrow, drenched and exhausted, wept. "We almost died," he whispered. Ruin smiled faintly. "Yes, but we lived because we did not fight." That night, back on shore, news reached them that 2 of the larger boats had capsized. Many of the men were safe, rescued near the reef, but one, Darrow's cousin, was missing. The boy's grief cut deep. He sat silently by the fire, staring into the flames, guilt shadowing his face. "He was stronger than me," he said. "He went out first." "Why did he not return?" Ruin poked at the fire, sparks rising. "Sometimes strength rose too hard against the current," he said. "And the current is always stronger." In the following weeks, Darrow changed. He spoke less and listened more. The sound of waves, once just noise, became music to him. He noticed the patterns Ruin had always seen, how birds circled certain spots, how the color of morning light foretold wind. He learned that the sea was not an enemy or a prize, but a teacher of rhythm. One dawn months later, Ruin woke early, heart peaceful, but his body weary. He felt age weighing on his limbs like an anchor. When Darrow came to fetch him, eager to sail, Ruin shook his head. "Today you go alone," he said gently. The boy protested, but Ruin smiled. "Your hands know enough. The sea will show the rest." Darrow rowed out alone for the first time. The water was clear and calm, sky a bright bloom of pink. He cast the nets as he had been taught, slow, offering rather than throwing. Hours later, he returned not with fish, but with something rarer, joy. "I felt the sea breathe with me," he told Ruin. "There were no fish, yet I wasn't empty." The old fisherman's eyes gleamed. "Then you are learning," he said. Seasons shifted. Years folded quietly into one another. Darrow grew into a man, strong and gentle. Ruin's hair turned white like sea foam, and his boat aged but still held steady. One twilight, as the horizon glowed crimson, Ruin asked Darrow to row them one last time. They drifted far until only waves surrounded them. "Darrow," said Ruin, "when I was young, I thought peace meant no storms. But peace is learning to remain open, even when storms pass through you. Like the tide, let go without losing yourself." The younger man nodded, emotion thick in his throat. They sat without speaking, the world humming softly around them. Ruin passed away that winter, quietly in his sleep. The villagers buried him near the shore he had loved, so that every tide could whisper to his resting place. Darrow continued his mentor's work, sailing at dawn, teaching the quiet art of listening to the sea. The villagers said that when he cast his nets, the waves rippled in greeting. Children gathered around him to hear stories of the calm old man, and his lesson that peace does not come from conquering the sea, but from becoming like it, deep, patient, accepting. Years later, when Darrow himself aged, a storm unlike any seen before struck the coast. Boats overturned, houses flooded, the ocean howled. When the winds finally died, the villagers emerged to find Darrow's boat still tied gently to the dock, intact. Inside lay his fishing net, perfectly folded, and a small wooden plaque carved with the words Ruin once spoke. "Do not fight the sea. Become her reflection." And so his story joined Ruin's in the waves, each teaching the next generation that wisdom is not found in strength or control, but in surrender. The village endured, rebuilt, and thrived, guided by the calm that old Ruin had once carried in his voice. They began every fishing season with silence, standing by the shore, listening to the sea breathe, as though greeting an old friend again. Life lesson. True peace does not mean a life without storms. It means learning to move with them, to trust life's vast currents instead of resisting them. When we stop grasping, life flows through us as naturally as the sea meets the shore.